Good. Okay, cool. So everyone, I'm going to present GG3. As you all know, we have the glass generator, the first one. We had 2.0. I think everyone here is familiar with it. Correct me if anyone isn't. Okay, so to get started, please go to this file path and double click www drafting tab updater 2.0.exe. I posted it in the chat window. That'll get you the latest beta tools updates so you can run it. And then in my M drive folder, there's also a file called gg3 training2.revt. That's a project that you can use to follow along with me. Just copy that to your hard drive and open it. It took me like 5-10 minutes, so maybe by the time I'm done explaining stuff, you can try some of what I'm explaining. So I'm just going to open Revit and start explaining GG3. And hopefully you guys can have your drafting tab updated and you can have this file working. Sorry, that file uploaded to your hard drive so you can follow along. So I'm just going to open that GG3 training2 file. That's on the M drive, but copied onto my hard drive. So I'm just going to go to the 3D view and click on the home button. This file is basically just Cal State LA student housing, but I took away, or I deleted a bunch of stuff, so you could just focus on the glass. So what this tool does, as I explained last week or 2 weeks ago, it does what the glass generator does, and it loads data for these lights. So it works pretty much the same way as GG1 and 2. It looks at the mullions in the top, bottom, left or right locations relative to a light, and then it looks at some data we have stored on the database, and then it figures out from that which parameters to set for each light. Because in this actual family, there's no mullion data, so it doesn't, these are all instance parameters, so it doesn't know what to set these bytes to, but it can use the mullion names of all the mullions around it to get those bytes. So to open the tool, right now it's in beta stage, so go to www.beta. You should have it after running that executable. Go to GG3, click it, and this little modal is going to pop up. In this modal, the first thing that you need to do is hit get data. What this is going to do is it's going to connect to the database on the Fremont server. It's going to grab some data, and then you'll have that data to work with. You could do whatever you want with the data. You can create your local versions of it, but it's basically the data for each of these mullions in the project. So you can use the tool and it'll know how to load it. So once you've done that and you get a successful message, to actually use GG3, first thing you do is select lights. So you could either do select light, select wall, or get all. Select light, you just select one light. As you see, some data pops up. Select wall, same thing. You could select the unit. You could select the tech wall. You could select the RO. But it will get all the data for each of the lights on whatever you select. Same thing with get all, it'll get all the lights in the project and show them here. You can double click any of these rows. Each row represents a light. As mentioned before, there's a left mullion, a right mullion, a top mullion, and for each light, it tells you which profile there is in each of those mullion positions. Double click it, and it'll go to that light in the project. On the right side here, there's two tables that show data for each of these lights. The first one says Revit mullions. These are just the parameter values for that selected light that you selected on the other table on the left here. So as you see, there's columns for byte offset, sealant length, gasket exterior, etc. And each of these values in this Revit mullions table, the first table on the right side, corresponds to what the actual parameter values are for the selected light. So for example, if you look here for the bottom byte, it says 1/2 inch. The byte offset also says 1/2 inch. If you look at the selected light you have, the byte bottom and the byte bottom offset will match this table. So that's the first table on top here. And then the second table is the data on the database and what that data says. So as you see here, like most of the data, if you compare it to what's in the Revit parameters on this table, it matches. But in the sealant length column for the database mullions, it is a little different than what is in the Revit model. But if you go over to the left side, you can reload it. Before I do that though, I'm just gonna select something different. I'm gonna select just, maybe select a different RO. Okay, I'll select this RO. Before you reload all of this data though, you could apply filters. So I always keep this checked, but it's showing the profile or the lights that have data that doesn't match the server. If you uncheck this, it's just showing the ones that don't match. And if you uncheck it, it's just showing all of the lights that are on this RO, whatever you select. You can filter by what top mullion is on a light, what bot mullion's on a light, what you could filter by bytes. And when you select it, it dynamically changes in this window here. And when you hit this load visible button, it's going to load whatever is visible in this table. So I'm just going to take out all the filters and then load visible. The following families were unfound in WW Glass. I'm just going to ignore this for now. So it's now reloading those lights. If you were like paying close attention, there's one light that was pink, and now it's not pink anymore because it reloaded the data. But there's still these mullions that are in red for some lights. And if you read the legend here, it says profile not found. And if you look over here in this table at the database, that profile is also not found on the database. So that's why these didn't get loaded. Any questions so far? Okay. So let's just try loading some more data. So I'm gonna select all again. I'm gonna apply a filter. So I'm only getting lights that have that profile on the top. Let's try this one. And again, I'm going to hit load visible. Going to ignore this message again. For generating, and now there's no more errors for the lights that have this on the top. So let me just go back to this RO. So these profiles, I'm not sure what the issue on these is, but say like you wanted to, or you knew like how to get these values, like if you like go into, I'm not sure what elevation this is, I'm guessing it's 115. Say DRU, it looks like this profile, it didn't find anything on the server. So say like you cut a section view. I'm not exactly sure what byte this is supposed to be, but it looks, I don't know, would this detail be correct with the byte against this profile?
No, that's not a correct detail.
No.
Yeah, we wouldn't have glass there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure like what you would do in this situation, but say that you, I don't know, I guess in this situation, you'd probably make it an empty panel or something. Not exactly sure. But say you like, this was a different profile that didn't have data. You can go over here to the database mullions table on the right. You can change any of these bytes until it matches what's currently in this light to create a correct detail. So say like the byte was actually supposed to be, I don't know, on the left. It was actually supposed to be 1/2 or something. And the byte left offset was also supposed to be 1/2. Like, I'm sorry, this isn't an actual like real example, but say like this made the detail correct. I know like this isn't even a real detail. You could go over here, fill in this table, fill in the correct values for the parameters that would make this profile correct. You'd hit the check mark, hit update changes. Let's go back to the view. And now there's actually data for the DRU W75. And when you reload it, it's going to reload this data because you just entered that onto the local database. And you could do the same thing for DRU W75 52 62 47P that we just did with this one. Any questions?
Yes, Alan, if we add wrong data here, for example, you said it's a 1/2 inch, right? Somebody add 1 inch, right? Its glasses should be bigger. We can get error or
not? Right now, it's not actually checking the details. If you would to actually like figure out if the 1 inch is incorrect, we would still do it the same way. You would check the detail and see like where the byte is actually coming in. So if 1 inch was incorrect, you would cut a section and actually check for yourself, compare this to whatever you're comparing it to, the PDF set, and you look where the byte's coming to there and look if it matches in Revit. And that could be a feature that we could kind of add to this tool. But right now, it's a manual process. If these data are correct, this is just for using it after you know what the correct value is supposed to be. Does that answer your question, Prasad?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Were people able to get the test model and get the update? Anybody?
No, I couldn't get the update. I don't know why. What do
Okay. You might need Zach's tools. I could help you get it after the meeting, James.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Thank you.
Okay. Besides that, I'm also working on some other little sections for this tool. They're pretty much in experimental stages. This section is almost, I'd say 90%, 95% ready to go. You could use it right now. But I'm also working on a section for reporting changes to Ember, because the current process right now is you'll work in the project, you'll set the glass data, and if you find that any of these datas are incorrect, then you'll report that to Team Esley, and they'll make the appropriate changes. Sometimes during crunch time, drafters, because it's not that hard to go into the view and figure out what the byte needs to be by messing with the parameter values. Drafters will figure that out and then report it to Team Esley afterwards. But we kind of want that to, we want the data to make it to downstream. So Team Esley changes it, so the data is recorded. So I'm working on this section here to try to solve that problem. So any data can get reported to Esley and Ember for them to change. Currently, this table here, if you hit get data, it'll get anything that was changed. And I'm working on this part, but it'll report it to this table on the server. And it will post a spreadsheet of all of the data, the errors with the profiles, and what their values need to be. And an email will be sent to Amber for her to be notified that there's a request here on the profile on the server. But that's the current work in progress. Another section that I worked on was this unfound light data. This is kind of experimental, but this could be used to, when you first start a project, this gets all of the profiles in the project. And if any of the profiles aren't found on the server, it lists them here. So you'll know right away, like if any profiles for some reason don't have data yet. This could be like another way to kind of report to Team Esley, but this idea hasn't really been fleshed out entirely. Is there any other questions about anything? Cool. I think that's pretty much all I really had today to present. Unless there's other questions. No?
I got update.
You must be writing really good tools if nobody has a question.
Must be. I hear silence. Any questions from you, Steve?
No, I like the interface. I like what you're working on there. Like you said, you know, the goal is to have Amber's process get the glass right to begin with, but if something's off, this gives the draftsman the chance to make the adjustments they need. But if it can report back so we can fix the base data, that's easy, right? So
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like the data, for whatever reason, isn't getting back to be fixed to Ember. And it takes her a long time to do it in her current process. I was trying to make that quicker for her too.
yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of data being stored too, you know, with gaskets and lights and everything else. So.
Yeah. There's something that Gabe's working on, but I don't really want to get into that right now. But yeah, that was pretty much the presentation, unless anyone else has more questions.
Nice.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Please try this out. Give me some feedback on if anything's broken or you have an idea of doing something better. But I want to have this eventually replace all of these GG tools and have this be the new thing. There's one button over here. This will do all of these functions.
Nice.
Nice.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you,
All
Alan.
right, thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.